Please welcome Guidewire's Vice President, Global Technology and Innovation, Aubrey Kipp.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Guidewire Family Reunion, also known as Connections. And I don't know if you realize it, Brian said it yesterday, you all are part of history. This is our largest Connections ever, and we are so grateful to share it with all of you. And I'm gonna go in Mike's cookie jar. He made a cookie jar yesterday, called it phenomenal. Mike showed many things, along with Diego and Laura, but one of the things that was most profound and the most phenomenal slide was this one. Could I just have every Guidewire customer just stand to your feet just for a moment? The Guidewire customers in this room. Every Guidewire customer. You are the wave. We're here because of you. Connections is about you. We couldn't do what we do without you. Come on and give them a round of applause. As you take your seats, spoiler alert up, because this is history, might have you do two things with your hands. You just did the first, you clapped, wonderful. But let me give you an espresso because we have a powerful day set before you. It takes guts and courage to do what you do. What you do is inspirational. It is Herculean, your efforts. And many of you are in different stages of your journey. Some of you are self-managed and you're the bedrock of Guidewire success. Some of you are on your way to the cloud. Some of you are in cloud. No matter where you are in your journey, I got a word for you. Don't give up. No matter how tough it may seem, in our darkest moments, it feels like it's not gonna work, it's not gonna happen, we're gonna fail. But it's in that moment that the tide is getting ready to turn for you. It's in that moment when you draw inspiration from all of your peers that you can say, you know what? Failure is not an option. Did you hear Martin's risk management strategy? I'm not worried about failure. I'm making sure I leave everything on the table. In the words of the great abolitionist author Harriet Beecher Stowe, she said, never give up. For it's in that place and in that time, the tide is getting ready to turn. Can I have you just use your hand and just give an old-fashioned high five to somebody and tell them, don't you give up. Come on, look at him and say, failure is not an option. I had about half the room. It's almost 3,000 of us. Can I have like 1,000 of the other room just high five somebody else and say, you're gonna make it? You're gonna win. And we are here to support you. We've got an awesome day ahead for you. We've got another rock solid product keynote. We've also got some powerful and profound customer stories to tell you. And then we have a great panelist. So I just want you to strap your seatbelts, get ready for an awesome day. Mike and Diego and Laura and the team just presented yesterday what we're doing at Guidewire, the next level of tooling, development tooling, investments in the platform, things we're doing to allow you to accelerate innovation at rates of speed that we've not known in our history. Flen is the most dynamic release that we have to date. And one thing, I don't know if you all noticed, there was a bulldozer on the screen. We're transforming what we gave you as shovels before, and we're giving you bulldozers now. So if you saw the update, we used to upgrade 8 months. We bulldozed that down to less than a week, and yet there's more. And our mission is to give you the agility as customers to be able to bulldoze out of your way anything that will disrupt your ability to fulfill your mission to your customers. And it's with that I'm pleased to bring up to the stage Amy, Reshma, and Amy, Reshma, and Roger, and they're going to talk more about what we're doing for the next generation to help support you as our customers. As they come forth, let's go ahead and give them a round of applause.
Thank you, Aubrey. Yesterday, we had that phenomenal keynote that showcased some of the new capabilities in Flen that will help you to be more agile. We also heard a lot about what customers have already been able to achieve on the platform, and we're excited to see what you'll be able to do with those new capabilities. Today, we're going to turn our attention to the future and talk about our vision for the insurance lifecycle. So because we're going to talk about the future and we're going to talk about the things that are not yet in the product, here's our lovely safe harbor slide that I'm sure you've all seen several times by this time in the presentation. You've all internalized that. All right, good. So what we're going to do today is highlight some of what we're working on for next year, and we're going to illustrate how our vision will help you to identify and adjust to changes before they become issues by using insight from analytics to define and deliver the changes that you need to meet your goals. Agility and analytics are the key themes throughout, starting with using the underlying data to identify trends, using analytics to investigate root causes and adjust the claims workflow, distribution channels, and rating and pricing. This will help us showcase the unique advantages of a unified platform to help you do things not just faster, but more easily as well. I'm going to start by setting up our scenario for today and talk a little bit about our favorite hypothetical insurer, Future State, and show you some of the data that they are surfacing in Explore. So Future State is a 20-year-old insurer that writes in 10 states. About 5 years ago, they introduced a new personal auto product with two specific targets. They are looking for 15% premium growth and a 95% combined ratio. The product was introduced pre-COVID and was priced very aggressively to grow both premium and market share quickly. The business was growing according to plan, but then along came COVID. The good news for Future State is that they've been using Explore in order to monitor some of their KPIs, and they've set up several alerts. So, post-COVID, they got an alert on their premium and loss data. And what they could see very rapidly is that while premium was growing steadily, and they were happy with the strong growth in premium, they could also see that their losses for the personal auto product were growing even faster. That current trend would put their combined ratio target at risk. So here comes the interesting part. I'm going to invite my colleague Reshma Mani on the stage, to show you our vision for how we can use analytics to discover the root causes and adjust quickly and easily on a unified platform.
Thank you, Amy. You know, they say in show business that you should never follow pets or babies, and I'm going to add another one to that. You should never follow Amy Mollin. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is how you can drive intelligent automation. Now, in order to be able to decide what to automate, you need to understand the business problem you're trying to solve. And one of the ways that you can do this is with data-driven insights. Now, yesterday you heard us talk about the Guidewire Data Cooperative. And this is where many of our customers have opted into the data cooperative. In fact, fun fact, that customers in the data cooperative, they actually account for greater than $50 billion in direct written premium. Now, they share their data in exchange for visibility across the market. And what it allows them to do is not only see their own portfolio analysis, but benchmark against that broader market. So one of the products that sits on top of the Guidewire Data Cooperative is called Compare. And what it allows you to do is to see an analysis of certain KPIs, such as components of loss, basic financials. It takes into account geography and time periods, and it allows you to compare against your peers. So when we see in the chart here, the first column is your portfolio analysis. The second column is how the industry benchmarks, and the third is the delta. So green indicates that you're operating better than your competitors and peers in the benchmark, but red indicates there's an opportunity for improvement. So when Future State looked at this analysis, what they determined was that their indemnity was higher than the benchmark, to the tune of 21%. So they were paying out more than their competitors. They had a problem that their competitors did not. So the next thing Compare allowed them to do is to see the other components in their business, things like litigation, things like salvage, cycle times, and subrogation. So one of the ways that you can reduce indemnity is by looking at your recoveries from subrogation. Now, what this chart shows is when they were doing subrogation, it was adequate, but the problem was that the claims department was not pursuing subrogation recoveries at the same rate as the benchmark, the industry standard, to the tune of 9%. They were leaving 9% of subrogation recovery on the table. Now, one of the things they could do is they could build a subro model, but this would take upwards of 6 months. Instead, they could leverage the pre-built collision subrogation likelihood model from the Guidewire Data Cooperative. Now, you heard us talk about this yesterday, and what this does is it's built upon millions of claims, and it validates across geographies. It helps you look at scenarios involving both personal and commercial auto. Now, you can embed this in Claim Center today. Everything I've showed you up to now is available today, and you saw us yesterday show you how this is embeddable in Claim Center. But what this will allow your adjusters to do then is prioritize the best subro opportunities, pass them on to the recovery teams, and increase recovery in hours, the sheer definition of agility. But an even more agile solution is what will be coming in the next year, which is we want to embed that Guidewire subrogation model within your claims autopilot workflow for auto physical damage. So the way this would work is when a claim came in, it would automatically hit the subro model, it would generate a score, and based on that score, autopilot would assign it to the recovery team, all without a manual adjuster. Now, the reason we are so excited about autopilot and the claims workflows that we'll be delivering is because they're based on decades of experience that Guidewire has in managing claims. So we're really excited about this. We have lots of plans for different workflows we want to build. This is just one with a subro model. Our goal is, a fraud model, third-party models, whatever. We want autopilot to be the orchestrator of how you automate claims. Okay, so the collision subrogation likelihood model is only one model in our data cooperative. We have many more coming out next year to help you analyze business scenarios across both claims and underwriting. All right, so we've driven intelligent automation, and that will hopefully improve Future State's loss ratio. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to launch a new channel. We're going to look at Future State's distribution of insureds, and we're going to understand if they have a channel problem, if their mix is slightly skewed. Now, yesterday you heard us talk about Explore. Again, Explore, available today. But what will be coming in the future shortly is the ability to create custom formulas as well as custom data sets. So when we look at this graph, what we see that Nevada's loss ratio is higher than the other 9 states that Future State operates in. And when we double-click into what's driving this in Nevada, what we see is that the largest segment of drivers is aged 18 to 25. Now, this tends to be riskier drivers. So if Future State's largest segment is riskier drivers, they may be paying out more than claims, and that could be what's driving up their loss ratios. So what they believe is that the reason their age distribution is skewed is because their most popular distribution channel is the mobile comparative rater, and that is attracting buyers ages 18 to 25. What they want to do is they want to offer Future State on websites that attract more diverse buyers. They want to create a web app, and they want to embed it in Future State. They want to embed Future State's offering in online portals where these types of buyers are purchasing insurance. So how can they create these digital experiences quickly and easily? Well, yesterday we showed you how to do this with Utro. But what we are going to ship shortly is the ability to make these visual changes using the Jutro Visual Editor. Now, if you recall in the demo yesterday, Utro allowed you to create these micro front ends, and you could embed them into online portals. But the subtle difference with what is available today is if you had to make any of these stylistic changes, you had to do it in code. You have to do it in code today. What the Jutro Visual Editor will allow you to do is it will embed our PNC-specific Jutro design system in a visual editor where you can make UI changes visually with the click of a button. For example, on the left-hand side, you see things like a page structure. This is where your component library would live, including your APD-driven components. And on the right-hand side is where you would be able to make any of these stylistic changes, right? You can add a logo. You can change the color scheme, all with the click of a button. You can also design the mobile experience at the same time as your web experience. What this will allow your teams to do is be more agile and ship high-quality PNC web apps on Guidewire Cloud Platform in hours or days, not weeks or months. Okay, so what we've shown you so far is how we've solved a subrogation recovery issue, how we've launched a new channel to address the channel mix situation, and what we're going to do now is we're going to investigate our pricing strategy. Are we priced adequately for the risk in our portfolio? And for that, I'm going to bring on Roger to talk us through that analysis.
Thank you, Reshma. So now to dig into the art of pricing, I want to introduce you to the Guidewire Predict product. In Predict today, we can build models. You can bring your own models that you build in R or in Python. And critically, we can deploy those models at the edge, where decisions are made, in underwriting and in claims. And that's critically important, because often we build really great models, but it's difficult to actually get those into our systems, to the places that we make those decisions. And once we embed those models, we also want to then evaluate, are the models performing the way that we expected them to do that? Right? Can we improve those models? Can we segment differently? And as we do all of that together, what we believe is that we can turn a system of record into a system of insight. So a system of record into a system of insight. And what I mean by that is each of you have thousands of colleagues that are entering information into Guidewire products every day. And that's an incredible treasure trove of information. And when you put analytics on top of that, you create predictions about the future, predictions about claim severity, predictions about claims frequency, about retention. And you do this all without leaving the Guidewire ecosystem. So let's use this superpower and let's investigate pricing accuracy. So with our new tune pricing module in Predict that we're going to release in Garmisch, so this is future, you're going to be able to build powerful scenarios that help you design and test new rates using variables for auto like territory, claims, right, prior claims, age, credit score in certain states, miles driven. So if we look at how we do this on this screen, in this table we've brought together all the information that we believe you need to make a rating decision. You have average loss, average premium, current loss ratio, and the target loss ratio that you intended when you built it. We also have the distribution you just saw from Reshma that helps us understand for each of our pricing variables, how is that distributed across our portfolio of customers. We can see very clearly here, right, that we have too many young drivers in the portfolio. So now let's dive into the line chart. That's going to help us understand loss ratio. So if I orient you here, on the x-axis, we have our distribution of age. On the y-axis, we have loss ratio. And that green line that you see going across the chart, that's the target. And the reason that line is straight is because ultimately, even though each population of age has a different risk categorization, if we price that risk accordingly, we can make the same uniform profit off of each of those age groups. So that line is straight on purpose. When we look at the blue line, that line's our actual loss ratio. You can see it's a little bit wavy, and in particular, you can see that for young drivers, we're very far off. So there's an adage that we all know, that there's no bad risk, right? There's only bad pricing. Young drivers are obviously more risky. That's not the issue. The issue is we need to charge them accordingly. And this causes classic adverse selection. So we already have a channel, the mobile rating channel, that biases itself towards young drivers. We add on top of that, when they're looking at that screen, that our price is 20% cheaper than everyone else's price. That's going to drive even more young drivers onto our portfolio, and that's why we see the distribution that we have. So now, let's adjust this rate and go to our scenario screen to improve our loss ratio. So what you see here on this screen is a risk factor table. You can think of a risk factor, if you remember your high school math or college math, as a coefficient in front of each of the pricing variables that we use to come up with a rate. And in the middle column, what you can see is the base factor. On the right side is the scenario factor. And what we're going to do is we're going to adjust that base factor to see if we can get that loss ratio, right, that combination of premium to loss, to the area that we actually want. And we're going to start with a guess. So we're going to guess that a 20% increase, so we're going to take the number that you see up there, which is 2.4, and we're going to take it to 2.9. So to see if that's going to do what we need, we have a visualization. Simple visualization. This is our original base rate, right? And then we're going to increase that rate up. And now we need to know, is this going to work? It may work the first time. It may not. If it doesn't, what we'll do is we'll iterate, right? We'll fine-tune the scenario. We can do this as many times as we want. And as we fine-tune, that's the reason that we call this new module in Predict Tune. So now let's verify whether these rates are adequate. We go back to our familiar loss ratio view, right? Again, the target is that green line. And let's see what our impact has done. What we can see is we've solved our problem. Now, if we want to, we can continue to iterate, and we can try and get those lines to be exactly on top of each other. But for now, we're pretty excited about this. And when you look at what we've done, we've been able to take the rates in the existing book, visualize those rates, and actually change those rates, right? So it's really exciting to be able to do that without deploying the rate change at all, right? We're basically simulating what's happening. The next step, though, is to assess this impact on the portfolio. And if I go back for a second just to explain how we do that rate impact, we're taking the adjustments and the risk factors that we've made. We're calling the rating engine, so sending that information up to the Guidewire Cloud Rating Engine, recomputing the rates for the entire portfolio, taking those rates, putting them back on our portfolio, and simulating what if we charged all of our current customers with those new rates. So that's amazing, right? We're absolutely able to simulate what would happen on that change. So now let's look at the impact on the portfolio. What you see behind me is a map of Nevada. And you're probably asking yourself, why are we looking at a map of Nevada? All we did was change, customer age groups. Well, as we make a change in any of our rating variables, we want to understand something called dislocation, which is what is the unintended impact on the rest of our rating program. So in this case, we want to look at geography. And what you see on this is that the areas indicated in yellow are no to very little change from the base rate to the new scenario rate. And as the color gets darker, that indicates more rate change. And when we look at this, we see that the maximum rate change is about 6%. We think about that and we say, okay, given all the things that we want to change in the portfolio, 6% is an acceptable change. We're okay with that. And now what we want to do is actually publish these new rates, the cloud rating engine, and we're going to do it with a single click. So we clicked send to the rating engine, a notification pops up. That notification asks us, where do we want to deploy these new rates? Do we want to put it straight into production? Or maybe we want to put it into test first? And for a lot of people in this audience, I know how difficult this exercise can be. For a lot of us, that process is a manual entry process, literally taking rates cell by cell and putting them into our new rate table. Doing that introduces a huge possibility of error and also a very long QA cycle to make sure that those errors didn't happen. When we do it this way, there are no errors. It's done automatically. So if you look back on what we've done from a rating perspective, we started off with a question about whether we had adequate rates. We dug into those rates. We figured out that we had a challenge with young drivers in Nevada. We're then able to adjust the factors on those, prove to ourselves that this was going to give us the desired outcome for our loss ratio, recompile the rates, bring them back down, and now we're going to publish those rates. So we click publish, and now Amy, future states rates are now deployed.
All right, so now I get the fun part. I get to talk about what happened for future state after we made all those adjustments. So we're in our magic time machine, and we're all sitting here a year from now at Connections 2023, except not maybe really here, actually in Nashville, but you get the idea. And now we're going to look and see the impact of the change. As you can see from this graph, the trend for future state in terms of their ratios were just not sustainable. You can also see the impact of the adjustments that Reshma and Roger just made over the past 12 months, leveraging data and analytics to put future state back on a sustainable path. And this helps to illustrate our vision for why agility is so important. We start by monitoring with Explore, then using Compare to check future state performance against a benchmark of their peers. And then we apply intelligent automation and claims workflow, opened a new distribution channel, and modified rating and pricing. These are all aspects of the insurance life cycle that have been difficult and time-consuming to adjust. This illustrates how our vision will help you to identify and adjust to changes before they become performance issues. And this shows how we're able to give you the agility that you need to be successful. Thank you, everyone.
Please welcome back Aubrey Kipp.
Wasn't that amazing? Couple of takeaways there. If you saw and really took note, we're allowing you to identify disruptions through the insurance cycle and then adjust for them in a manner that is agile and across the entire life cycle. You saw a Jutro digital experience spun up in hours, days, rather than weeks or months. And you saw us use analytics to turn what is your system of record into a system of insight. And it's so powerful to see the investments that are being made.